welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Hairwire, the place where you get hair smart. I'm your host, Sergio Cardona. Welcome, guys. Welcome to another episode. And today we have the big house, the full house. Today we got Carrie, Jared, Bisan, Dipsy, and our friend William Gaunitz. How you guys doing?
Hey, Sergio.
Hey, we're doing well.
Hey, guys. We're happy. We are joyful. We have our crew together and our invited guest today, William Gaunitz. William, it's a pleasure to have you with us. This is my brother. He's my friend for many years, and he's a great trichologist, by the way. He has a great line of products, and we want to talk about many things today with William and the Hairwire crew. So, Carrie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. Thank you. I'm actually so excited about today. William, I've been waiting to have you on here because everything that you're doing is very inspirational and groundbreaking, changing for a lot of people out there. So welcome. I can't wait to pick your brain today and share the world with you.
Oh, yes.
Great. Well, thank you.
How you doing, Biz?
I'm doing great, actually. And I'm very happy to see William since long time.
Long time.
Has been a long time. And I'm so excited about today. I am excited to, as you, Carrie said, to share you with the world. You added a lot to the trichology profession, and you still work so hard day by day to give us the information that everybody is hungry about and the right information. So that's a key for today. And we're going to talk about the correct information, the right information, when people like have a trichologist like you listen to what you have to say.
That's true.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm going to add to that. Sorry, William. You guys, if you guys don't know who William is, with trichology, with hair loss in particular, a lot of people think there's more than one type, or they think there's one type of hair loss. There's not. He's the one that takes the barrier down, and he's the first one to really educate people properly and help you be aware of what type of hair loss you have, where it might be coming from, and the signs from it. So please make sure you if you're not going to watch this whole video, save it and rewatch it, because he is going to share a lot of great information. Sorry, William, I had to share that because, like I said,
this is one episode, guys, that you want to hit like,
Absolutely.
you want to hit the comments, you want to share it, and of course, we invite you to subscribe to our channel, to the Hairwire channel, and of course, to William Gaunitz's channel. We're going to be talking about that as well in a few seconds. Now, William, let's talk about you for a second, so people here at the Hairwire can know who is William Gaunitz, what you do, how you've been doing. I mean, you are an institution, my man. You're an institution. So please, walk us a little
very
bit.
Kind. I'm a guy who started losing his hair when he was 17, and I apparently am vain enough to completely change my profession and become a trichologist so I could save my own hair. And that's true, because when I was in 20-ish, and I was going to school for architecture, and I was also working for a chemical company, and I was really, and I'm still kind of very passionate about architecture, but I thought to myself, if I became a trichologist, I would always have hair because I would have to. And ironically, I was correct, but more importantly, I learned the tools, implemented the tools, and then have been blessed to have, tens of thousands of clients that, I learned from the successes and the failures. Early on, my success rate was not as good, obviously, as it is today. And it was much, much harder to understand what was going on with somebody because you just don't have the experience. And so that experience not only helped myself, obviously, but it helped, ironically, thousands of people that came after those very difficult cases early on. And then, even when we were talking sort of earlier in the break about some of these cases that I know now exactly what the problem was back then, but I was too new. I'd only been practicing for 3 years or 4 years, and I just hadn't seen enough yet. So anyway, I appreciate all the positive feedback. On year 21 of being in a clinical form, helping people with hair loss, ironically, all of the problems are relatively the same. So
incredibly enough, when you go back, the macro, and you see the space of clients and the different variants, and you see, they kind of look kind of similar one to another. And it is true. It is true. Now, you have developed a company, and one heck of a company, William, Advanced Trichology, which is a 5,000 Inc. Member, and you have been doing it for 3 years in a row, right?
Yeah, I'll find out in July if we made it for a 4th year. I'm pretty certain that we will. And we're going to have to hit some pretty remarkable numbers this year to keep this gravy train going.
Hey, being an Inc. 5,000 company is not a small task, guys. And William, he's a trailblazer because of it. In the Trichology business, no one has done it. Only him has done it. So that's something special.
And really the client, it's education. So many of these individuals, recently, what I didn't really know until I think we really started pumping a lot of information out there for free with social media, the podcast. And, we actually took a lot of some of the old content and had it repurposed and, put the flashy captions on and whatnot, something that it seemed a little bit more, contemporary, but it was the same information. And people can't get enough of it. And there's so many questions. And these questions that you think as a trichologist, you go, doesn't everybody know this? And not because anybody's doing anything wrong. It's just the fact that we've known it for so long. But, how isn't the general public being taught this yet? How do you not know that nutritional levels are important for your hair? Why hasn't the allopathic community gone, you know what, inflammatory hair loss, maybe you need to change your diet rather than just, throw a steroid at it? So these are basic fundamental actions that you can look at fitness, you can look at spiritual and mental wellness, and you go, okay, well, you have to tweak these certain things about your lifestyle to correct how you feel, or in certain cases, how you look, how your skin's reacting. But no one, I guess up until now, has really been outspoken about this is what you have to do to maintain your hair, because your hair is a little bit like the canary in the coal mine. And if you have rapid hair loss and it's literally just dumping off of your head, that's not normal. So, and unfortunately, if you've been to your primary care and your primary care goes, oh, you're fine, you rub some Rogaine on it, take some finasteride, and you're like, but I'm not fine. My hair is dumping off of my head. How is no one upset about this? Yeah. So that's now, I feel like, become far more of a conversation than it used to be. And that is good. It is a powerful conversation. And, when you target your reason for hair loss, and that's, Sergio, to your point, our success with Advanced Trichology has been about targeting your reason for hair loss. There is no one size fits all. You can't say what it works for you is going to certainly work for me, because my ecosystem is different. And so, and a female ecosystem is different, and a child's ecosystem is different. So, these are things you have to be treated as an individual. And if somebody slides a bottle across the table to you at your physician's office, I would go, why is this for me? What about my personal situation makes you believe this is going to work? And my favorite thing when a customer says to me, oh, your products don't work. And I'd be like, which product? Oh, well, I used, the shampoo. I'm like,
how many times?
It's a shampoo. I never said it's going to cure your hair. It's a tool in the tool shed. Exactly. And you can't go out and cut down a tree, with a toothpick. You need to go out and use the right tool for that. I wouldn't use a saw to clean my teeth. So, pick your poison.
Yes. Can I add to what you said? William, what you said is you hit on a very important point. We always say that hair loss is because of so many reasons. It's multifactorial, right? And I always like say that we lose our hair. Actually, it's a positive thing, not a negative thing, because the first thing that like when we're sick or something going wrong in our body, the first thing that happens, you lose your hair. So it's a sign. It's a sign of what is going on, and I think that is that's a positive thing in a way. What I'm trying to say here, William, you hit a point where people are always divert away from hair loss, like dermatologists and clinicians, because hair loss is such a complicated symptom to have. It's not a disease, it's a symptom of something that is happening, right?
Yeah.
And you need a collective like collective specialist. You need a dietitian, you need a GI doctor, you need a hormonal doctor, you need a collective people to figure out one thing that is your hair loss. And that is why, unfortunately, the hair loss community is very weak right now. And that's why we need all together all our niches, our specialties to come together to solve a big problem that a lot of people suffer from, and it's devastating, which is hair loss.
Yep.
And that's why what we're saying is it took you 20 years of experience. Now you think that the information that that everybody knows, but no, it's not like that, because we don't have the correct body. We don't have enough spotlight on trichology to and we're trying here in the Hair Wire to educate people about trichology, and that's why we're excited we're having you today, because your 20 years of experience it's a lot. It's many textbooks. It's a lot of niches. It's a lot to cure hair loss is not one thing. You know better, right? It's so many things together. That's what I want to try to add on your point. That's all.
And
Well, and the funny.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sergio.
No, I'm saying, and to be, how we say, ethical enough in the process, because that's another thing. You put the information out there, and there are many people out there who has information, yet they're wielding that information to a sales pitch, to sell you something, to give you something, and not actually help you in your problem. So that's something that it's quite unique, and that's one of the reasons why William is so respected into the community, because he's not someone who's going to push you to sell your product. He will literally go the extra mile to give you exactly what you need, and he has the solution. He's going to sell it to you. If he doesn't have the solution, he's going to refer you to someone who does. And that's the integrity. That's the type of guy that we have here today, guys. And we, again, thank you, William, for being here with us today.
Of course.
Now you were going to mention something before I cut you off.
Oh, I don't know. Whatever that was, that went away. But you brought up basically, the ethics of being a good trichologist. And ultimately, what I found, because my office is in Laguna Beach now, so I moved during the pandemic. I was noticing most of my clients were coming from Orange County and from LA, and they're in the industry. And so I ended up, putting my office in Laguna Beach, which is great because it's got a nice ocean view. When you go to you have to go to the bathroom upstairs. When you head up there, it's like, oh, I'm so sorry, I have to pass by 180 degrees of ocean. But be that as it may,
yeah, so that alone will regrow your hair.
that is helpful. But I have clients, celebrity clients that literally they have access to everything. I mean, absolutely everything. And so, I had a new client in my office. I had done a phone consult with her. She had come in, and I saw her for the first time a couple of weeks ago. And she literally has been to every dermatologist, primary care, endocrinologist in LA and even in New York. And so literally powerful individual. And she sat with me after I had recommended blood tests. So we got iron binding capacity. Well, first of all, the only blood test that she had from her primary care was a CBC. Like, that was it. And I'm like,
No,
so
information.
that's the extent of the testing that they gave you. But her hemoglobin was low. No one thought that was weird. And I'm like, well, if your
What?
hemoglobin's low, then your iron is most certainly off, or at least let's figure this out. And if your serum iron is off, then your ferritin has got to be non-existent. And so if that's the case, no wonder nothing has worked for you. Something so ridiculously simple. And then I asked her about diet and I asked her about gut. And of course, she had horrible gut issues. And so her gut, with stress from her position and everything else, all led into where she was at. And she had just recently started taking digestive enzymes, which allowed her to have a bowel movement daily. She hadn't had a bowel movement daily in years.
And it was not a red flag for her, doctor?
No, right? How is that not a red flag? And then, so she's now all of a sudden, normally it was once a week, maybe twice a week, she was having a bowel movement. Now it's daily. And so we get some levels. Her zinc was like nothing. Her ferritin, I think, was two nanograms per milliliter. I'm like, how? That's, I think, physically the lowest I've ever seen. I mean, it can't get much lower. Her serum iron was 30. And I'm like, how did no one catch this? And she has all of the money and all of the resources. And sure enough, I'm like, well, you need to take a lot of iron. You need to, eat appropriate for your blood type. We need to do this, do that, and so on. I saw her 3 weeks later. It was as if somebody had flipped a switch and all of her hair was growing at the same time. I saw along the temple area, she probably had 30 new hairs that were maybe 5 millimeters long, 6 millimeters long. And I'm like, this is absolutely incredible. And she's like, really? Do you think it's working? Because she doesn't know. I mean, she's got little tiny sprouts. Exactly. But the point is that somebody who has all of the resources and they're still not getting the right information. So you must seek out a individual who is experienced, who, they obviously need to have the right pedigree. But at the end of the day, you have to have somebody who's got a track record of correcting the condition that you're suffering from. And I don't care whether that's, it could be in the medical world, it could be in the trichological world, but you need to make sure you're going to the right people so that you're going to get the right results. And anyway, so to the point of finding a trichologist that is going to be successful in your situation, you have to do your research. You need to find somebody that's going to know what's going on. And so I happen to have, get 20 plus years of experience. So that's helpful. Anybody with good experience who's been trained by the right people, they can obviously deliver a lot of that as well.
That's true. The training is everything, and, getting the right information, the experience. But as we're talking, getting the message out. Now, Carrie, this is your area of expertise, pushing, the message out, working with your magic through technology. And, what's happening, because as William was mentioning, there's tons of information now. Why isn't available to everyone yet? What's going on?
Well, it's getting the messaging too. Like, you have to remember too, a lot of people, especially trichologists, they go to school to be a trichologist. They don't go to school to do marketing. So to get the message out, they don't know what they're doing or how to do it. That's where I come in, or, where somebody like William, he knows a lot about marketing, but he also has the capability of hiring a team. So that's how we're able to get it out, is because, I went to school for business marketing. And so I feel like I'm here to help trichologists get their message out and expand the knowledge and get out there. But they go to school for hair and trichology, not for marketing and going online. So that's why you're not seeing it. So you see these people who are in online marketing trying to find a niche market to tap in that hasn't been well done. So of course they're going to jump on board with it and be like, here's an avenue for making money. I'm going to do that and push out stuff that's incorrect or falsely portrayed or misinterpreted, the whole ticks and caboodle. And there's some stuff that's good information, absolutely. And then there's some stuff that's a little questionable. So you're going to find that everywhere in any area. But to be quite honest, if you're looking for that expert, look to see who the other trichologists are looking at. Like, for example, when I was looking for trichology, I looked for what other trichologists, who they were following, who they were pushing. And I started noticing a pattern, seeing how they showed up on LinkedIn, how they showed up on Instagram, how they showed up on TikTok now, how they show up on Facebook, and kind of see who the other hair industry professionals in trichology are looking towards to for information. So
That's true.
you can be your own detective. It's just, and trust your intuition too. Like if it doesn't feel right and it seems off, then your
It
gut's
probably
usually right.
isn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, guys, let's switch here the subject for a second, because now that we're going to, through the journey of finding out the truth, there are some of the most basic forms of hair loss that we have been addressing for a couple of shows, but we haven't talked about inflammation and the importance that inflammation has and the role that it provides in terms of hair loss and the types of hair loss conditions that are related to inflammation. Now, Bisan, before we jump into that, walk us through what is inflammation, what does the inflammation signals in our body, and the importance that it has in terms of hair loss at the end of the day.
Yes, so inflammation is actually a little bit of inflammation is good for our body to heal our body too, because we have inflammation because our body is fighting off something, which is good. But too much inflammation or for a long period of time, it will start hurting our body in all kind of sorts. And like when you have a high inflammation marker in your body, which is a very simple blood test called ESR, erythrocyte sedimentin rate, and this should be in any blood test. I don't know why. It's like a simple blood test. When I was training for hematology and back in my college, you know how we do this ESR thing? It's like the simplest thing ever. You put the blood in a tube and you see how fast your red blood cells goes in and sediment. And this is exactly, that's it. If it's too fast, then it's good. But if the red blood cells are inflamed, then they're carrying so much weight on them, then they will sediment slower. And that's why it's very simple test. And I don't understand why we don't have it in every place, in every blood work. But this is, and it should be covered by insurance because it doesn't need a lot of technology or a lot of products or chemicals to do. So when your ESR is off the charts, which means that you have inflammation, that means there is something wrong going on, like in your tissues, it's gonna affect everything in your body, and the first thing it will affect is your hair. Whenever we don't have enough oxygen that these red blood cells are carrying to our hair, then we will start having hair loss. So I think the first sign of hair loss, of inflammation, is hair loss. And this is one of the easier things to tackle, because you can see it. You have hair loss, you can see it, and then you can start tackling this inflammation. Because chronic inflammation will end up with bigger problems like diabetes, like cancer, like Alzheimer's, and we don't want to go there. That's why I always say hair loss is a gift. Means you have inflammation, go and tackle it right away. And we can tackle it with so many ways. You can start with the simplest thing and the cheapest thing, which is anti-inflammatory diet. Simple and straightforward. Cut the junk food, cut the inflammatory triggers that our environment is putting in us. And triggers is not only food, it's toxins, it is bad relationships, it is whatever. These will cause inflammation. Stress actually causes inflammation. Stress is something emotional, but it will be psychological, and it will cause inflammation in your body. So sorry, I diversed a lot. I forgot what that
no, but it's good. It's good. It's a good starting point, And back to you, William. And you basically have created a system where you have identified primarily inflammation as one of the leading causes of hair loss. Now, in your experience, how you came across this conclusion, and what were the solutions that you were presenting at that time? And I know you're working on a new solution, a new system, which we are very, we're very eager to get our hands on. So walk us through your process and how our folks can get a little bit of what's happening with their hair.
So to keep this condensed, because it took, it just took 15 plus years to see random situations that didn't make sense over time to go, what is the problem here? So I remember one of my first cases that I was just astonished, and it didn't make any sense to me. We're going back, again, I started in I opened my first clinic in November of 2002. Well, technically it was open in August, so we use that as the anniversary, but I didn't really start seeing clients until November. But I think it was 2004 that I had this one client. Guy grew absurd amounts of hair. I mean, within 6 weeks, he was like a chia pet. And now back then, we used a very powerful topical formula. Now it's sort of mainstream, but we used retinoic acid at 0.025%, azelaic acid 5%, 5% minoxidil, and we had him use it twice a day. We were using finasteride. We had scalp massages. We used this sort of this homemade formula that we applied to the scalp prior to putting them underneath the clinical laser. And then it was scalp massaged off with 5 different additional products. And they came in twice a week for that. So of course, we literally had every conceivable amount of stimulus that you could get in a short period of time. And some people, what I found out, that you just can't tolerate a certain level of stimulus because everybody has their own threshold. And, you look at, to complete the thought on this gentleman, so within 6 weeks, he had grown all of this hair, and I'm like, man, you're going to keep it going. By 3 months, it was like, wow. And we only had a 6-month program. At 4.5 months, because every 6 weeks we would do a scalp check, a microscopic analysis. By 4.5 months, I was like, I think he's losing hair again. What's going on with it? His scalp was red. He was telling me his scalp was starting to burn. And then by 6 months, he had lost everything that he had grown. Whoa. And he was worse than he was when he walked through the door. And I'm going, I don't understand. At the time, we had this was in the clinic. We had a 100% money back guarantee. There's a picture of me handing him a check. It was the first time that I had ever given money back in this scenario. And this poor guy, I didn't understand what happened. Well, now I know that a high level of vitamin A that is in retinoic acid probably created a sensitivity. And ultimately, no matter what detoxification that we did, he was already probably sensitized. So once you're sensitized, you need to avoid it for a longer period of time and then probably change your diet, obviously do a bunch of things to calm down the sensitivity. And that was the first of, I don't know, hundreds of people that I saw have bizarre reactions to things. And you eventually go, what is creating this amount of inflammation? And then at some point you start to go, that guy looks like he has inflammation. But why does he look that way? Is it the color of his skin? Is it the dark bags under his eyes? Is it the skin eruptions that he's experiencing from other areas on his body? Is it the digestive disruptions? And then all of a sudden you go, okay, well, I'm going to try to solve those problems. And so I'm going to detoxify these people. I'm going to, internally chelate them with fulvic and humic acid. We're going to use we're going to use a bentonite clay. Oh, we're going to use the detoxification tea with licorice, burdock root, dandelion root, orange peel. And we're going to help cleanse the liver and the kidneys initially. So we're going to start doing this. This is how we're going to get every single person successful. And then you implement that and you go, okay, wow, we've really improved our results. But some people still have inflammation, and why? And so then you keep going. And eventually you go, well, this is diffuse alopecia areata. I thought it was breakage this entire time. I've been treating this the entire time the wrong way. And then eventually you go, well, seborrheic dermatitis, if you don't clear up this inflammatory state on the scalp, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you dump high percentage minoxidil on there or eliminate DHT completely. This male will not grow hair because inflammation is the primary cause of his hair loss. So then you go, are the DHT blockers causing inflammation? And in some people, they do. So how do you make sense of all of this? And so to me, I started breaking it down. And for me, I've broken it down, and you've got DHT. There's basically 3 reasons for hair loss: DHT, nutrition, and inflammation. That's it. They're all funneled into those 3 reasons. There's different names for them, but they're all funneled into these 3 reasons. And you treat each one in a very specific way. I'm not going to treat inflammation with a DHT blocker because that's not going to work. And if this person has a ferritin level of 2, no amount of anti-inflammatories is going to fix that because they have nutritional hair loss. They don't have the raw materials available to allow their hair to grow normally because your body is smart. Your body knows that if your hemoglobin is low and your serum iron is 30 and your ferritin is 2, that if you're going to spend iron on growing your hair on a daily basis, you will not have enough to make red blood cells. So of course you're going to withdraw those nutrients from your hair and your hair is going to thin out. So all of that adds up. And so for me with the inflammation, I ultimately found that low zinc, low ferritin, and low vitamin D3 are the most common reasons that are easily adjustable nutritionally for inflammation. I also found that gut issues and itching and burning on the scalp are the most dramatic symptoms of inflammatory hair loss. So if somebody says they have itching and burning on the scalp, and then I ask them, do you have chronic constipation, diarrhea, or acid reflux? Most of the time, when somebody has itching and burning on the scalp, they have a digestive problem. And so now you go, okay, well, how does that make sense? So the digestive tract directly influences the itching and burning, which is clearly inflammation on the scalp, and they're losing hair when that itching and burning is occurring. Thus, it must start in the gut. So how do you fix the gut? So it just goes from one thing to the next. And then I have diffuse, I have male pattern hair loss, and I have diffuse alopecia areata. So when I first started treating my own situation by detoxifying, changing my diet, and limiting stress, that allowed me to regrow most of my hair. There was portions of it that didn't respond because I also have the male pattern loss. But then again, if I change my hormone level too much by taking finasteride, then if I took finasteride, my hormones changed so aggressively that it triggered a shed from the diffuse alopecia areata. It's just this, it's a balance.
Yeah.
So for inflammation, the objective is to treat the core cause. And I find that the vast majority of that has to do with gut, how you process nutrients, and diet. And I can't even count the amount of times that I did nothing except change someone's diet and their entire situation changed. And that was it. I didn't do anything else. I said, look, you're a B blood type. You're eating chicken for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is the number one thing that a B blood type cannot eat because, and this is just through experience, because that creates such a level of inflammation for those particular people that nothing will work. And everyone thinks I'm crazy. And until they try it and they go, you're right, it did work. And I'm like, I don't know. It works. I don't understand it. It just does.
I love that you talk about that because I say that to my clients all the time. Like, I'm in Canada, so a lot of us are multiracial. So I also talk about like, look at what your ancestors ate because you're an evolution of who they are as well, and consider that when eating. Like myself, I went on a Mediterranean diet, support my husband with something, and my numbers went backwards. I was feeling awful. but I'm 50% of my dad's side Polish Viking. Well, most of our diet is meat. So I went back to a traditional, like what I grew up eating, lots of meat, fermented foods, the berries and all that. My blood went back to normal. So like a lot of people, it's a one size fits all world. It's not. Like, you got to look at your blood, you got to look at your ancestry. There's so many factors to consider. So I love that you touched base on that, because it's so important to understand that. And same with inflammation, like food, like a lot of patterns. I have celiac. I got undiagnosed for 28 years, and that was the trigger to my hair loss. I was losing clumps of it, and they were like, "Oh, you're fine. There's nothing." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm 28. I look like I'm 5 months pregnant too." They're like, "Oh, you're fine. There's nothing." Well, what happens when you have gut health issues? Your tummy swells up. You look like you're pregnant because it's swollen. They didn't even consider. And they would even poke my belly. I'm like, no, it hurts. Like, look at it. Like, something's going on in me. I have an alien growing in here. Fix it. But finally, once we discovered the celiac, I tell you, I had to buy new clothes. My hair finally started growing. I started getting color again. Like, my whole world changed because they finally looked at my gut health. But it took them years and years. For a long time, I was treated like a hypochondriac because I was making all this stuff up, and I had all these ailments, heartburn, asthma, you name it. And as soon as I went clean and stabilize everything, I tell you, I don't have any of those issues anymore.
It's incredible that you mentioned this, Carrie, because we have so many gastrointestinal doctors out there, and yet you go to them and they don't talk about this stuff. Why is it? Because you are a functional medicine practitioner. I mean, you're working on that. You're becoming trained in that. Why is it that the regular medicine won't even tackle the simplest gut issues? Why is that?
Yeah, so I'm going to tell you a very short story very, very quickly. Years ago, I had a major trauma in my life, and I woke up in the morning and I couldn't digest my food. My digestive system stops working, like stopped. I'll have for lunch, I will have a chicken salad, and by 9 p.m. the chicken salad is still here. It didn't move. So anyway, 3-4 days later, I went to a GI doctor and I said, the salad that I ate 4 days ago is still here. And I'm hungry, but I can't eat because I feel full, but I'm hungry, I'm dizzy. And what he did is he did, what do you call this? Like, not the colonoscopy. They looked at
endoscopy.
Endoscopy.
Thank you, that's it.
Yes.
He did the endoscopy and he's like, you're fine. I was like, no, I'm not. I'm hungry and I'm dizzy and I'm not fine. And he's like, no, your endoscopy results is perfect. You go home and take an antacid, the Tums.
Yeah.
I went home and I took an antacid for a month, and I still can't digest my food, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, when I went to a functional medicine doctor, functional medicine people look at your triggers, right? And they start with the gut to fix the gut. And apparently I needed hydrochloric acid, not antacid. I needed hydrochloric acid. And unfortunately, the Western medicine, they go with a procedure. They go with what I'm going to say that out loud, what the health insurance companies tell them to do. There's a protocol because unfortunately, USA is maybe all the Western countries, they are run by lawyers, right? So the doctor cannot go out of his protocol to try to figure out something that is unique for you. And that's why now the functional medicine is rising up, because functional medicine is not ruled by anything. And that's why any functional medicine practitioner can it's very expensive, but can order any lab test for you. They can go after the trigger. Anyway, going back to the GI doctors, it is not because maybe they know, maybe they don't, but they can't deviate from a protocol that the healthcare insurance their malpractice insurance will let them do. So unfortunately, that's why in the US especially, the pandemic in the US was not what we had. The pandemic is the food pandemic, is the healthcare pandemic. And
Canada too. It's Canada. Let's say North America.
I would say the whole world. I mean, it's been on it, so.
Yes, but so basically, we as people, we have to dig deeper in every condition we have to try to understand ourselves because unfortunately there's not enough functional medicine doctors, and functional medicine is very, very expensive. Like, it's way too expensive, and there's not enough trichologists that they specialize in gut issues. So as a trichologist, what we're saying that I wanted to add while was William talking, we not only help you stop your hair loss. Hair loss is a symptom of so many things. So trichologists should be familiar with gut issues because, as William was saying, it's the #1 in the United States, at least because of the food pandemic we're having here. So fixing when you don't know when like as William said, when you don't know why you're losing hair, go fix the gut. 90%.
Yeah, if there's gut problems.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, and this comes down to knowing why you're losing hair.
Right.
Because, so hypothetically, let's just say somebody watches this and they go, I'm losing hair, I'm going to fix my gut. Maybe their gut's fine. Maybe it actually, if they don't have itching or burning, they don't have constipation, diarrhea, acid reflux. They're not having, these sort of bizarre, sort of patchy types of hair loss, then it's probably not inflammation. But if you are having those, it probably is. And that means you have to correct the ecosystem. And you have to, and not all probiotics are created equal. If you can get this newfangled, oh, it's got the 80 billion, it must be good. Well, countless times I've watched people take these high percentage or high volume strains of probiotics, and it actually disrupted their gut even more because that's not what they needed. And so, but now all of a sudden we've got prebiotics, we have postbiotics. At the end of the day, if you're still eating basically garbage day in and day out, to me, the #1, if you're going to say, what's garbage for your diet, it's processed sugar, which is known to cause all sorts of inflammatory issues. And obviously breed issues with gut bacteria, yeast, parasites, etc. But you have to make sure that you're doing what's right for you. And by whatever goes in here is really going to fuel plus or minus your wellness. So you have to, diet is so key with inflammation. And again, for me, it's eat right for the blood type because I've seen it so many times. I've personally experienced those benefits of changing my diet because I'm an O blood type and I need meat. I need to eat a steak, 3 times a week. I need to have protein every single day, an animal-based protein, because that works for me. My wife, she's an A blood type. If she did that, she'd weigh 300 pounds because her gut is just, filled with all sorts of horrible things because A's, they are an agrarian type of diet. They need the hydrochloric acid because they don't have as much stomach acid to break down foods. And if they get stressed, their symptoms are different. Yeah. So you got to know what's going on with you, and you need to address your own symptoms, not just guess.
And that's key in everything, understanding what it is exactly that it's happening to you. And, as we were mentioning in the beginning, it's about paying attention to little details, whether it's the ferritin levels, whether it's the hemoglobin, the zinc levels. I mean, we have to make sure that we understand the small things that can trigger and causes the hair loss, our inflammation, and understanding that and tackling properly is the key. Is key to understand, and of course to get you to the other side, to get you to the wellness area, to get you to a better hair, to get you to a better experience, and of course a quality of life, which is what we are looking for at the end of the day. Now, Bisan, you were going to say something before I cut you off. Sorry.
I was about to say one word. Inflammation is that your body is out of flow. Like, yeah. It's just not working flawlessly. Like.
So, how we get back into flow, William? What you have a great system, so we want to know about this. So walk us through it.
So I mean, everything's we're literally, the caterpillar went inside the cocoon about 18 months ago, and it's just now like kind of busting through. So I mean, obviously everything that we've done with advanced trichology to this point has been phenomenal. We've helped tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people. But what's coming next is pretty revolutionary. So, first of all, the app. So it's going to be the Trichologist app, which is obviously the name of the podcast as well. So it just seemed to go hand in hand. The objective is you have a trichologist in your pocket. So that's the idea of the app. And the app is going to integrate a hair pull test with a 4-question quiz and basically integration with your blood tests that goes through our algorithm and produces an output. That output is going to tell you which type of hair loss that you have, and in each type of hair loss, what you need to take specifically for you. And that to me is our groundbreaking next phase. So the app, I keep saying that the app is going to be out in like 3 months, and that I've been saying that for 2 years. But legitimately, the app, I'm having daily app meetings, so we are right there. So that to me is the next big thing, which will be completely integrated into the website. You will have dietary recommendations. You will have supplement recommendations. You will have a capability of tracking your shedding over time. There is a shed tracker. So I won't spoil it. I'll wait until it goes into beta. But it will allow you to see how your shedding is trending. Because to me, the first way that you know something is working for you is when your shedding is decreasing. And a lot of times people don't even know that they're shedding irregularly until we teach them how to monitor their shedding properly. And so I'm sure as trichologists, you guys have had people come into your office. The amount of times that I've had bags. Oh, this is how much I lost in one day. And I've seen this on social media. I didn't know other people did this besides my wife and a handful of clients. They take the hair that they shed in the shower, they roll it up into a little ball, and they stick it to the wall of the shower. Now, when my wife did this, I was like, babe, it's gross.
Hey, I gotta tell you what my daughter did. This is so funny. She saw my hair shed on the floor. Or on the, like, I throw out my hairballs. I don't leave it there. She noticed some of my hair shedding. She took because my hair is long, right? So she took 4 hairs and wrote love.
Oh, that's super sweet, though. That's like a trichological, like, congratulations. Letter right there. That's
I was
awesome.
impressed she was able to write the whole thing with my hair.
So sweet.
Yeah, but I was all confused because I was brushing my hair, and normally yes, full disclosure, I brush my hair, pull it out, and then put it on just to count, so it's there. But I take it after and I throw it out after. So I was doing that, and I'm like, that's more hair than normal. What's going on? And then my daughter comes, she's like, did you see the message? I was like, yes. Like, I saw your love.
Well, good thing it said love, and not something sinister. You're like, what is happening?
So confused.
That's amazing.
I was okay.
Thank God it was okay.
I have a question for you, William.
Yes.
So this app will help people track their hair loss and get their personalized supplements.
That's correct.
Right, but they still will need to go back to you for major, like, not the consultation, like how to start out or how to finish, or like in between, to see their progress.
So this app also has a portion and instruction on a 6-point visual tracking method where you take basically photos of your scalp with different reference points in different angles so that you can track that over time. And realistically, nothing substitutes for an actual face-to-face visit with your trichologist where someone can do a scalp analysis, sit with you for an hour and understand a patient history, go, hey, have you thought of this? Or, let's get a full understanding of what's going on. That is the holy grail of understanding what your situation is. Fortunately, either A, people don't have the time, they can't afford it. B, they don't even know it exists, so they can't find that person. So these are things that it is the first line of defense. It's a very thorough line of defense But again, it doesn't substitute for an actual trichological in-clinic visit.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that they can still come to us.
Oh, yeah, of course. Well, and if anything, one of the things that we're probably going to end up doing, because it's like, yeah, okay, you've got a machine that can tell you, yes, here's what you should be doing and how you should be doing it. But for me, I just like to sit with somebody. Like if I have a problem, I want to go and look at that person in the eyes and go, do you really believe
I like the
this is-"
concept because, it's a starting point for many
It's
people
a
out
starting
there.
point. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
I think this is brilliant. Like you're giving options people who don't have time or can't afford it. Or also for me, I like that confirmation before I dish out money to see a specialist because trichologists, some trichologists are not covered. And so if I had an app like that and be able to rule things out and do that, I'd be like, oh, wow, okay, this is right. This is bang on. So I think this is brilliant. And to give that as an option to people.
Yeah.
And then there's people, if they take that and they want to get the step further and,
Yeah.
I think
well,
this
and
is
that's the thing.
brilliant.
So there will be a practitioner app following up with this. So based on how this is going, there will be a practitioner app. So a practitioner can then obviously utilize this app, collect the data, understand what's going on, and so that's its next phase. But realistically, we want people to use this to track their own progress, kind of like, I mean, like a Peloton or something like this. You're sort of getting this instruction, and then you can kind of track your progress over time. But still, it's not just for you to be on an island by yourself. It's so that you can get in touch with your particular situation. And what will be the next phase of this even further is to integrate known practitioners that are of the highest quality to be referenced and to be available. And essentially there'd be a list. It'd be like, hey, if you need to see a trichologist, here's a trichologist in your area that's certified through these methods that basically understand exactly how to take care of you. They've been vetted. And that's how it should be.
I think it's a brilliant idea because also it will spread awareness of like, if you're losing your hair, there is a trichologist out there that can help you, because a lot of people don't know that we exist. They don't know what trichology is. They don't know what trichologists do. So when and in our era now everything is online, then they will get the app, and then eventually, they will the word going to be spread, and then like, thank you, like, I think, see, that's how I started my talk. The industry is owing you, William. You are taking the industry to the next level.
Cutting edge, like we said, cutting edge technology.
But we have to, right? I mean, because sadly, no one else is doing it. So why aren't, for me, it's like, well, if no one else is doing it and it needs to be done, well, then I guess we have to do it.
Perfect.
So,
perfect, exactly.
And especially now, hair loss, in my opinion, I don't know if you guys are seeing this, everybody's losing hair. I mean, it's got to be take this for what it is. Sort of, it's an epidemic. I mean, I don't want to, compare it to other epidemics, but it's an epidemic at the highest level of its propensity through the normal population, because the entire world as we know it is produced an environment that is perfect for us to lose hair. And I have a client, another celebrity client, and I'm not, pro-vaccine, against vaccines, any of that other stuff. There's a reason for a lot of these things to exist. This particular person had he got the J&J vaccine, never got COVID. I had all 3 vaccines and boosted and whatever, and I still got COVID 3 times. But he never got COVID for whatever reason. He got the J&J vaccine. He never had hair loss. Guy's in his 50s. Never had hair loss. Long, beautiful, flowing hair. He's in the industry, works with professionals all the time. He still, even after working with me now for 18 months, I have not been able to fully get his hair loss under control. It is purely inflammatory. And so the J&J, for him, I'm not saying again anything's bad, but
Yeah,
his
that's
body
firsthand.
didn't like it.
Yeah.
And it created an inflammatory cascade that has not been able to be resolved from his hair. And that is not the first time that I've seen that. And it wasn't just J&J, it was any of the vaccines, Pfizer and Moderna. And then you've got people with COVID who got COVID, and then you start dumping hair. I didn't shed with the vaccines, but I shed with both the first 2 COVIDs. The last one I actually got at the last Trichology conference in Iceland. And that one I was fine for whatever reason. I think I was already tinkering with the anti-inflammatory, so it was fine. But your body can respond negatively to almost anything. Yeah. And if your body is sensitized or just happens to not like it. So, I mean, Carrie, if you're eating the Mediterranean diet, your body didn't like that. So your hair's falling out. It's wild. So you just have to be in tune with your situation to bring down the inflammation and ultimately solve your core problem. And if you have something that helps you track that, great.
Well, I tell all my clients, I know Pasanda's too, is we tell them to journal and track everything. And with my clients, I also talk about epigenetics is the whole mind, body, spirit connection, how your genes and your DNA are transcribed based on the influence of their environment. And I tell them, like, I have clients who've had triggers with divorce, lose full heads of hair and inflammation, and it had nothing to do with what they consumed. I've also have a lot of people who had stomach health issues and had a traumatic incident happen and they weren't able to digest it, but the whole mind, body, spirit is all connected.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's not always intake. It could also be a mental stress that's happening. And like with mind, body, spirit, the whole body is like your physical intake or anything your body consumes. And then you have your mind, which is your conscious and your subconscious awareness. So like too much stress, people being, excuse my language, shitty around you in the environment, especially dealing with everything stress taking out on you and how you perceive it. And then you have your spiritual one, which is, misalignment with your core values. Like here in Canada right now, we have a lot of misalignment with spirituality right now, especially with everything that's happening with the truth and reconciliation movement here with all the children. A lot of people were raised in a particular religious view. Now they're seeing who their mentors, what they did. And so they're dealing with spiritual misalignment right now. And so that will trigger a lot of things. And, it's all connected. Like I know when I'm stressed and upset, I cannot eat. I get constipated. The whole 9 yards. Or if I'm coming up to dealing with a stressful situation with a particular family member, I tell you, I get a headache and I start having visual issues and I don't eat. So it's all connected and it's all inflammation. People forget that too. So
yeah, it's important to deal with all of those minor things that we neglect, because that's the thing. At the end of the day, we consider those small issues in our lives to be too small to cause any illnesses or any damages, and we just toss them away and like, this is nothing. I can deal with this. Nothing. You're getting trouble. You're getting hair loss. You're getting inflammation. You're getting constipation. You're getting problems with your body. I mean, your quality of life has been changed because of those little things that you think that, I could handle it. No, you can't. You need help.
They add up. They add up. There's a professor, I'm sure you guys have seen it. It was the most profound explanation I've ever seen about stress. It blew my mind. And literally what he did is he had all the students hold a cup in the hand, and he started putting things. He put rocks, then he put pebbles, then he put sand, then he put water, and eventually everybody had to keep holding it, and you could tell they were getting tired, and eventually the cup started going down and their arms are starting to hurt. And he was talking about how you may have room for all these little things, and it's just a little thing, but once you start adding one more rock and one more pebble, one more cup of sand, one more cup of water, it adds up and it gets heavy and it comes weight bearing. And of course it transfers throughout the whole body. That's how mind, body, spirit interconnection works. Epigenetics. So yeah. And even with the celiac mental health, before I was celiac, I actually had mental health issues. I had to take antidepressants. We couldn't figure it out. I was happy-go-lucky. I had a great life. I had 2 places, one in Vancouver, one in Calgary, and I was living it up. And I was depressed. I was even suicidal. Couldn't figure it out. And we later found out, and later found out with this celiac, it was gutting. My hair was falling out. I looked like my stomach was under Ray. And then to boot, my mental health was under attack too, but I wasn't getting the proper nutrient distribution to my brain. It was affecting all of it, mind, body, spirit again, right? So once we started going gluten-free, I tell you, I went being happy-go-lucky Care Bear as everybody knows me, just from changing my diet. Like, it's all interconnected, all of it.
Yeah, well, people don't know that we are all bacteria, right? We are all bacteria, and when we have the imbalanced bacteria, they actually make us feel sad because they're the bad ones.
That's interesting.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We have a bunch of information here, guys. William, we need to have you again, brother. We need to have you again.
Hey, this is fun. I mean, I think I did an interview somewhere and they were like, "Oh man, that was really easy." And I'm like, I can talk about this all the time. So
that's the
like,
problem with us.
How many
That's the
hours
problem
do
with
you
this
have?
particular group right here, guys. If you don't know us personally, we love to talk about this, and we can go for days, literally for days, without stopping about this. So
every time we say we're gonna do 15-minute episode, and it ends up 50
an hour. Yeah.
We're passionate. What can we say?
Hey guys, we want to thank you all for tuning in for today. William, where can people get you? I mean, of course, we're going to be linking our episode to your channel and everything, but hey, where can people get William Gaunitz?
I mean, yeah, I laugh because I fought it for so long. The stuff that I do myself, that it comes out first, is actually on TikTok. Because it's
hey, whatever it works.
This is the new world.
It is a new world. So I record I've got a nice little studio here in my Ohio spot, and I just record what's sort of stream of consciousness and just let it out there. So TikTok, but then so it's William Gaunitz, trichologist on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and then thetrichologist.com, for which is going to come out soon for the podcast, as well as the app. And then obviously Advanced Trichology for the product line, which you can find on Amazon. You can also find it at advancedtrichology.com. So that's out there. So Instagram, if anyone messages me though, only do it on Instagram because I don't pay attention anywhere else.
I want to tell you something, William. My Christmas gift since 4 years now or 3 years now is just your products. That's it. Yeah. That's all my Christmas gifts are. So I will order a bunch of your products and I will give all my friends and family. You know, everybody have hair loss. And
well, that's great. Well,
yeah, I love it. You know why? Because everybody has hair loss, and I am working with her, and I'll just bring them the products, and I know, just look at this person. Oh, he doesn't eat properly. I'll give you and it is perfect Christmas gift because people, they're hungry for the stuff, yes, but they don't know where to find it or which products to buy or what product to buy to begin with. So that is my perfect to-go Christmas gift. It has been my 3rd year right now.
Oh, well, that's great. Well, I appreciate that. Well, this next year, so are the new serum, so the follow growth, that it's called it's a very long, of course, I couldn't make it nice and easy. Follow growth follicular performance serum that has, it's attacking from all 3 levels. So DHT, nutrition, and inflammation topically. So it's pretty wild. So at Christmas, that is actually the one unit that you could give to everybody and be like, everyone's going to benefit from this because it tackles.
I'll just order a box of
it. Yeah, there you go.
the Advanced Trichology box. Hey, I have to say, Will, my patients, they love your products, and we have been using it for quite some time now, and I have to say they deliver. They deliver every time. I love them. I love them very much, man.
Thank you very much. Well, I appreciate
it's been a very great compliment, to our practice. So what you're doing for the trichology community and the awareness and everything that that you stand for has been for the better of the industry, and we thank you for it, brother. We thank you.
Hey, well, I thank you guys, and I love that. Obviously, the desire of this is to get the information out there and to really produce a show that is going to give authentic unbiased, good information to the consumers that who need it. And I mean, hair loss community, the people who are dealing with hair loss. I mean, I see all these Reddit threads. I mean, I there's a Reddit thread called Bald, and I subscribed to that Reddit thread because I wanted to see what people are talking about. Oh, you know what? Hold on. You know what's really funny? Look at this. That's my wife on there with the funny glasses. So
Oh,
Bald,
Bald,
it
41
knew I
minutes
was
ago.
talking about it. But that particular thread, the amount of times that I see on there, the number one question produced on that thread is it time? And then they have their head of just thin hair and it's a mess. And the question is it time to shave my head? And I so desperately want to jump through the phone and be like, no, man, you can grow your hair back. But they don't know. And it's like, I can't, if I did that, I wouldn't do anything else. I would just be doing that all day. So you guys are helping those people not have to ask that question. So that is a great thing. So keep it up.
Thank you, William.
That's the goal.
Any last words and any last thoughts, Carrie, before we go?
No, William, thank you. Please come back. Please come back.
Absolutely.
Especially when you launch your app. I'm a nerd, you know that. And I want to share anything nerdy out there with people, especially benefiting trichologists and people looking for trichology. That's a win-win for me. And I really want to bring you back specifically for that and everything else. If I could have you back here weekly, I'd make you come back weekly.
Right. Well, I'll definitely come back and we'll do this. And as soon as the app is done, you guys can all be in beta and we can all just sit there and tinker with it.
Yes.
And then, we can get that launch out there and it's going to be great.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time. God bless you. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks.